gonna start.
Engage Burnham.
I'm your new wingman.
We will win because we have.
Welcome to CommLink.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of CommLink Reacts. I'm Stubb and I'm joined by Silvius. 07's buddy. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. Ready to check out this Star Citizen live. First one we've had for a while.
Yeah. First one. And this one is all about Alpha 3.23. There's a lot to talk about. A lot of information in this video. So without any further ado.
Seems like a lot of people in the community really enjoyed this Star Citizen live, and I don't think either one of us have really watched it.
No, I was saving it for this.
Yeah, so this will be our first time seeing it, and hopefully it's got some juicy stuff for 323.
Yeah.
Just threatening Pete by, I was going to start with a good morning, Star Citizen. He was just waving me off. Hi, everybody. We're back. Welcome
to
Jared. Star Citizen Live.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Jared. We just talked about that. And if you've never seen Star Citizen Live before, it's where we take about an hour out of the end of our week and
I like his desk.
chat with a few of the developers who make Star Citizen and
Squadron
42 possible. On this week's show, we are
I like that RSI on his laptop too.
Generally speaking, towards the release of any given patch, we have what we call this all about alpha, whatever it is, show. We usually bring our Star Citizen live game director, Todd Pappy, on the show, and he answers your questions about all the things you've seen in ISC throughout the season building up to this, the things that you're you're experiencing through Evocati and through PTU, and it's all a big, fun thing where you guys get to ask questions and we pose right to the people, put them on the hot seat. We're not doing any of that today. We are changing the formula. We are at the beginning of this journey to Alpha 323. We've all come back from our holidays. We've done the typical regroup and engineering planning for the next patch. We also do our yearly performance reviews. How'd you do?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
We'll find out.
I haven't found out mine either. But, let's hope they're not watching this show. Do the performance reviews, and then we begin this journey towards our next big patch. Because this patch is built very differently than previous patches before, it's going to showcase a whole lot of what you saw, showcased at CitizenCon. We thought we'd do it differently. We're gonna be Babe Ruth. We're going to step up the plate and we're going to call our shot this quarter. And we're going to talk about what's coming in Alpha 323 at the beginning of this road. And to do that, joining me today first is a friend of the show, somebody we haven't had on either of our shows in quite some time. You've got a new title since the last time we had it, so I'm going to have you do it because I didn't think to ask you what your title was before we started. Johnny Silvius. Johnny, how you doing, man?
Hello. Do you want to guess what my title is?
It's Assistant Design Director?
Got it in one.
Did I get it?
Yeah, you did.
Congratulations on the promotion, man.
Thank you very much.
Congrats.
I need a bit of a water there. So,
let's talk about 323.
Assistant Design Director. What does Assistant Design Director do?
A lot of stuff. Essentially, I am cross-project on both Squadron 42 and Star Citizen itself. So I essentially run the design teams that we've got, which includes mission design, economy design, system design, technical design. So all of those teams report to me and we all work together as one big team. We also work with a lot of the other teams, obviously people like Ian Leyland and his art team, a lot of people that we've had on here before. But essentially, I'm working with everyone in the company more or less to try and, hit the vision that we're trying to hit.
You were, folks who've been watching our Star Citizen programming for years now, remember you were part of the FPS systems design team when you went over to Squadron with that big migration, two and a half, 3 years ago?
2 to 3, yeah.
Now, yeah. You went away to Squadron, hunkered down, worked on all these features in quiet solitude, and now we're bringing all these things back, adding to the already existing team and work of the Star Citizen development team to make Alpha 323 and beyond.
Yep.
So we're going to jump right into it. So we're going to talk about the things that are targeted for Alpha 323. Now, I want to, before we go into the rest of the show,
it's a key term there.
I want to talk about what that word targeted means. These are the
Tell
things
us, Jared.
that the various programming and engineering teams, the art teams, the design teams, these are the
I'm gonna pause
features
it
that
real
they're
quick
all working towards
to,
and expected to have delivered
I can't
for
pause it.
Alpha 323. We all
pause
know
it?
because we've been doing this for a while. That's
Thank you. A comment from one of our own videos about a month ago. Quote, is there a more streamlined video so we can skip all this BF fluff of the video? Like it's fine. Like I get it. They're excited to be talking about it, and I understand the intros, but man, we're nearly 5 minutes into this one and we still haven't talked about the first 323 feature. You know what I mean? And it's all about Alpha 323.
They do fluff these a little bit with stuff, but
and most of the time I'm cool with it, but I'm so excited about the 323 features coming our way that I just want to talk about it. I know right now I'm holding that up, but the irony.
I was trying to give you permission to pause the activity and stuff. I don't know.
Wouldn't worry about it.
Let's keep rolling.
sometimes a thing slips, it gets to a go, no go, it doesn't quite make the go, so like that. So this is not a exhaustive list of everything that will come. There are also some surprises. There are also some things that we've designated surprises, things we want you to discover on your own when you log into PTU for that first time. So we're not going to cover everything that we're intending to put into 323, but we're going to cover a pretty exhaustive list. And we're going to start with the stuff that we talked about yesterday in Inside Star Citizen. We came back on Inside Star Citizen yesterday. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. New EVA. So new wave EVA is coming along pretty well. When we first started capturing for ISC, we still had to be in squadron builds for a little bit because it was just getting integrated into the Precision universe. By the time we went live, it had begun its integration into the Star Citizen universe. How's EVA doing?
Really good. Obviously, there's still work to do. Obviously, a big proponent of that, as you mentioned, it was in Squadron Stream. Obviously, now we're dealing with things like networking, and this is going to be true for a lot of the features that we talk about today, is that obviously there are unique challenges that come with putting things into the persistent universe in Star Citizen. So, yeah, it's looking really good. And obviously, the guys yesterday, if you missed the ISC, they did a very, very good job of explaining the systems, but I'll kind of give a quick summary of that. Basically, how we felt previously about the old EVA system is that it wasn't really up to scratch. The player experience and just the feel of the movement wasn't really as responsive and as basically easy to use as we essentially want. So as the game's evolving, we're finding that we're going into these environments where we're making tighter turns, we're going through wreckages, we're trying to do things like that. And if you think about the old EVA system, because you're flying around so upright, you kind of have a silhouette of movement that's kind of like my forearm here. But if you think about it now, because we're going into what we've kind of called the Iron Man pose internally, where you're kind of leaning forward, your arms are down by your side, your silhouette is more like this, so you're facing directly forwards. And what that means is, obviously, if you're going through tighter spaces, it's a lot easier. When you're rotating, you're no longer rotating like this, you're kind of more rotating like this, so you can fit through those gaps easier, and you're not bumping into things quite as often. And then on top of that, if you're winding your way through, you're almost mirroring a bit like a
horizontal
snake-like
rather
motion,
than
and
vertical.
obviously you can kind of fit through all those tight gaps and turns and things like that too.
A lot of the comments that we saw on in YouTube and on Spectrum and on Reddit had to do with it seemed like the next logical step might be like little rockets on the boots, little rocket boots to help propel you, little jet packs, maybe even an animation to do the Christopher Reeve Superman thing. Are any of these being considered?
In the future, we want to put more emphasis on basically picking equipment that allows you to EVA better. So that might be in the form of, say, EVA jetpacks, not jetpacks, but EVA backpacks and things like that might come with more EVA fuel, because that's something we want to do down the line. More oxygen and things like that for existing in spaces where there's no atmosphere for you to be able to breathe.
That would be cool.
And essentially, looking into that preparation phase that we've talked about before, where you're making considerations that, hey, I want to be like a EVA salvager. I'm going to equip myself with the things that are going to be able to get me there. But until we get other features in, like we showed yesterday, we showed the 0G push-pull. That's not coming in 323. No. And some of these systems we're holding back because we wouldn't really want to implement EVA fuel without having systems like 0G push-pull, because otherwise you might be sat in the middle of space, run out of fuel, you've got no options.
You also need to build places to refuel.
100%,
stuff
yes.
like that, So I'm glad you brought that up. We tried to be very deliberate in our storytelling. We said, this is coming in Alpha 323, and then further down the line, there's the traversal, there's the 0G traversal where you're climbing on the hands. There's the fuel. We changed the work in progress graphic to say, this stuff is the 323. This stuff is not the 323.
Yeah.
We changed the music. Some folks, who maybe get their news from other rewatchers or whatever, missed that EVA is 323, but the 0G traversal, that crawling along the hands, and the fuel stuff is not 323. That is down the line.
Down the line,
Because of those reasons you just mentioned, we got to build these other systems out to accommodate them in a.
Man, you think we're going to get EVA in 323?
Yes. You can kind of. Gloss
here we are.
You have other solutions in a single player game. The mission
I'm starting to wonder.
So. And then, of course, networking. Networking is going to be the challenge for all of these.
Yep, 100%.
There isn't just a make multiplayer button and transfer these features over. But the guys are working pretty. The guys are working pretty well. Like I said, I want to shout out the gameplay folks for Inside Star Citizen. They do amazing stuff. There's the alpha game that you play, and then there's the PTU. That's got a certain level of bugginess. There's no reason to lie about it. There's the PTU that has a certain level of bugginess. Then there's Evocati that has so much bugginess we NDA it. And then there's where these guys work. So the effort that they put into getting those EVA shots when they were still working on networking and stuff.
I still
was truly.
I want to know why some of these things can't just be directly ported over into an online environment.
Let's move on to the personal interaction experience or player interaction system. I'm not going to use the acronym.
Are you sure?
And the default item actions.
Okay.
Where did this come from? Because obviously we were working towards inner thought.
I wonder if it's because basically everything you do, you're interacting with something run by the server, right? Mm-hmm. So as a client, your character is still having to, when you're in like EVA, I guess, your client's still having to tell the server where your character is and like where objects are in relation to it, I guess. So maybe that has something to do with it, and like the interaction stuff, you're obviously like picking stuff up, placing it, moving it. So maybe that's why.
But we're picking stuff up and placing it now, though. It just has a different look about it.
Yeah, I don't really understand it either. Maybe we can get the guy with the videos about the server meshing on one day, and he can explain it to us like we're four.
And all this other stuff. I know we talked a little bit about it at CitizenCon, but where in the development of Squadron 42 did that change? Did we realize we needed this other approach?
Yeah, so obviously we had an interaction system that has evolved a couple of times, right? And it evolves through necessity and where the game's at and where we feel like it needs to go. So we used to just have the super plain interaction system. You remember the old use thing that was in the middle of the screen? And it used to just be, looking back on that now, it was quite inappropriate because you would hit use and hope that it was the correct action that, it did. Is it going to pick it up? Is it going to open it? Is it going to close it? What's going to happen? So that obviously wasn't very clear. And as the game evolved and the items and the way you interact with the items got more kind of in depth, and you could do 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different things with the same item, the necessity came to basically have a selection there. So that's basically where we ended up with the system that is currently in Star Citizen at the moment, where we've got the list. Now obviously playing with that for such a long time, we eventually got to a point where we were saying, we could definitely do better here, and it's something that we've wanted to do for quite a while. So that's where the player interaction experience comes in, where we are now condensing this down into one single use action. But unlike the old use action, you get a verb that essentially tells you what it is you're going to do. And that also ties into default item actions. So I could look at all of these items on your desk, right? All of them might be very different from each other. Your laptop might be like the old school use action, which would tell me that I'm probably going to hop down and start typing on the laptop. That folder there might be more like a pickup action or an inspect action if it's something that's like a data pad, if there's an iPad on the table or something like that. And that allows us to basically look at all of these different item types that we've got in data and say, this is what we think the default item action for this thing should be. But again, in ISC, something really cool that we showed off is the ability to customize that as well. So we're not getting rid of all
really
the
cool.
big list of actions that we previously had that were quite difficult to navigate through, especially in like situations like combat. Combat is obviously something that we've seen a lot of in Squadron.
Hold on, I'm in the middle of a fight. Let me go through this long list of things here while I'm getting shot.
Yeah, you can envision how that generally goes. And again, through the game evolving comes the necessity to change it, right? So I just want to look at a weapon on the floor and hit go. I just want to pick it up and use it, right? But as I was saying, yeah, we're not getting rid of all of the other actions that you can do with the items. It's just that they are tucked away behind a wheel. For the people who want to customize this experience or use the other interactions on specific items, it's all there, and it's in a slightly cleaner format with the wheel, so you're not accidentally clicking something on a condensed list that we used to have.
Some of the comments we saw again on YouTube and
I can't think of another game that lets you change a default action
on everything. Is that going to happen every single time a player looks around at everything? Is that a toggleable thing?
So we've spent a lot of time tuning that, so it's picking out the important items, the large items. Basically, we've got a system that essentially finds out where your focus is. So again, we have played with this a lot. If the F moving around on all these different items got annoying, it would annoy us too, because we played the game so much as well. So we're at a point now where we feel like the F selection is very, very clear and easy to use. And the selection itself isn't, we know, like if I was here right now and I had moved my focus to your laptop, but I was too far away to actually use the laptop, it would prioritize the closest thing that is still in the focus. It's actually a very smart system. So yeah, we don't get annoyed by it at all. And for the people who actually like to use it, the interaction system's still there. So you can still mouse over things and highlight them and interact with them. If you really need to do fine control, oh, I'm sifting through this guy's stuff that's on his armor, or I've got loads of clutter on my desk in my hab, I can still very fine, have a fine selection of what I want to interact with too.
And of course, like everything here, this will continue to iterate after 323.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think we're telling any tales out of school. 323 is not going to be the final version of any of these features. That this game continues to iterate and continues to evolve. You got a balance for the Squadron 42 universe. Putting it into Persistent Universe, we might discover a PU location where it does get a little crazy, and adjustments have to be made. That's part of development.
Yep.
So that's what we covered yesterday.
I wonder if they'll integrate Toby into that interaction system they're talking about with the eye tracking. Because like right now you can look at different targets on your screen and select that target. So it would make sense if you could, just move your eye to the object you want to interact with.
Yeah.
With it. That would be cool. They didn't mention it, but I'm sure that's something they're thinking about if it doesn't already work.
Yeah, that'd be awesome if it worked that way.
I might have to get one.
Yeah, something like that. I could see that being a nice quality of life convenience. Just look at something and then it knows like straight up. It's not even having to guess what you're focused on. Yeah, and I've seen some of the concerns that they were just talking about in the video here about, I don't want F button popping up all over my screen and all of that. Because, what they showed in ISC last week was a very full armory, right? Weapons locker. And a bunch of Fs were showing up on the screen. But, also the camera was very close to those guns. And, I think this is something that people that are like really shaking their fist at it right now probably wait to actually get a feel for and see if you actually are going to like it or not. Because to the guy's point that Jared's talking to you, forgive me, I forget his name. But, if it was just F showing up everywhere on your screen at all times, like, yeah, that would annoy anybody. And there's 1,000 devs or whatever working on this game. So if it was an actual issue, I don't think they would go in this direction.
Yeah, some people have a little.
I'm looking forward to it personally.
Some people have a little knee-jerk reaction, especially with things Star Citizen. They see it and assume the worst,
Yeah.
But even when something, I don't think it looks bad at all from what we've seen, but even when something looks bad in Star Citizen, I'm like, I'm not crazy about that. I still wait until I actually play it because, things between now and then change. And then once they're in our hands, it could be even different. So,
yeah. And it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for them to add a toggle. Like if you just straight up don't want that info popping up on your screen, why not? Put it in the settings. Let somebody toggle it off if they want to.
Yep. Or
and everybody wins.
Yeah, just toggle it off. Or take maybe when you don't have a helmet on it. Well, you'd still want to be able to use it when you're not wearing your helmet, but yeah, just toggle it on and off. Make everybody happy. Why not?
Yep, exactly.
So now let's go into formally announcing some other things that we're working towards.
Here we go. Here's the juicy stuff.
Distribution centers. Mm-hmm. Distribution centers, which we've shown off. I think we first introduced the idea of them at CitizenCon 2 years ago. We revisited them at the CitizenCon last year. I think we did a Journey to 4.0 special somewhere in the middle. They blurred together. People, I'm sorry. I've done a lot of these shows.
They blur together for us too, Jared.
Fully on track to come in Alpha 3.23.
Yep.
What can you tell me about what players can expect?
Okay, so just as a bit of background, the distribution centers are these massive facilities. They truly are really big, that are down on the surface of planets and moons and things like that. And they kind of are what they sound like, right? It's a center of distribution. Like there are lots of landing pads. It should be a big hub of activity, basically. And there are a lot of different areas of the distribution center that are different from each other. So you've got the exterior, typically where people will be landing their ship, unloading cargo, things like that. You've got the offices up top, which is generally more of a front for whatever business or corporation has ownership of this place. And then you've kind of got more of the inner workings, which are kind of where you would typically expect to see cargo being ferried. If there's machinery that are producing stuff down there, if they're making something, then that would be where that's all tucked down. So what we're trying to provide for 323 is some variety between the different locations, so slightly different layouts between the different distribution centers, so they all feel a little bit different from each other. Have different factions at each of these places as well, which should give a very different feeling of what you're going to be doing there. So just as an example, and we talked about this recently, is you might have a law-abiding faction there, and typically you would be doing what you would expect to at a law-abiding place, where you would be trading, talking to people, things like that, all above board. If you're a pirate, you can obviously come and attack and cause trouble, but they might have security systems made to deal with you. You might also have a hostile faction that's take over one of these things that a corporation maybe previously had, and they came in and took over, and that would be a very combat-focused area for you to go and play in. And then you might have something that's more of a mix. So you go in, the front is very professional and business-like, but underneath, if you go a little bit deeper, you might find that they're up to no good.
Space wallet.
Yeah, so ultimately for the content we want to provide, the distribution centers have a lot of possibility, and there's no way that we're going to provide all of the content that we want to in one drop. But we definitely want you interacting there, doing cargo missions, and potentially some basic like combat missions and things like that to interact with all of the different areas of the distribution centers we're going to provide. But the future's very exciting for them.
And these are
big and diverse.
And these are humongous. These are the biggest thing we've done short of a landing zone.
Yeah.
They are massive. They are microcosms of the entire Star Citizen FPS experience. When I say FPS, I mean things not in a spaceship. There are missions. You'll get missions that will take you to these places. You'll go to these places to take to get missions that take you out. Some missions we'll be talking about these on ISC in just like 2 weeks, so I don't want to spoil everything. But some of the missions are self-contained within the distribution center. They're that big that you can do the entire loop within the distribution center.
Yep.
Hi, Daisy.
Daisy.
They really are an exciting new addition, and in 323 is not the end of them. Like I said, 323 is not the end of anything. They will continue to evolve beyond that. It's one of those things. I don't think we're ready to share that just yet. But there are some exciting plans for distribution centers. Beyond 323.
I'm glad to hear that they're going to have good diversity with the distribution centers, because we're going to be spending so much time with them. But also, I wish they would call them something else.
From there, let's move
because
on
that
to
sounds so
some
boring.
ship
Distribution center.
Yeah, it's a little, I guess not misleading, but I feel like they're going to do more than just distribution. So it's odd naming for it, but yeah.
Well, I guess we'll probably just end up calling them centers for sure.
Yeah, probably.
I can't see myself saying distribution center just naturally every time playing, you know?
Yeah, the D center.
The D center. There we go.
Yeah. Shorten it up.
Yeah.
What did it say? Wow, the Star Citizen Live set has come such a long way, says Old Boy. Yeah, well, we try. We try. Master modes.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been talking about master modes again. Master modes almost, actually, we've been talking about master modes for just as long as we've been talking about distribution centers. They first debuted 2 Citizen Cons ago. In 323, they are slated to go in.
Yep.
They're slated to go in, so yeah, so yay for everybody. The vehicle experience team, Rich Tyler's team, April and all of them, they're fast working on converting all of Star Citizen's existing spaceships to the master modes, defining the different archetypes, and again, we'll be talking about those in detail in ISC in 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Hop in Arena Commander, people, get used to it.
It's
Master
taken us a
modes
while to get
on
to
the
master
way.
modes.
Yep.
And not everyone is. I think it's safe to say not everybody is completely on board with the idea. You know, I can read Spectrum, I can read Reddit and whatnot. There seem to be just as many people who are for the idea as against.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this.
I mean, it's a big change, right? And people are always, initially going to be resistant to it. And I think that's very, very natural, because you've been playing a game for such a long time, and it's such a big change that you're going to have to relearn a lot of the things that you've already learned before. But ultimately, again, this was another thing that has come around from us playing the game, especially in like combat-focused scenarios in Squadron, and going through and going, hey, we feel like change needs to be made. So just a very, very, very high level of what master modes are. As essentially you have navigation and 2 SCM modes that you switch between, and they have very defined purposes with how you fly your ship. And what this has allowed us to do is in SCM, which is essentially your combat mode, is we've made it so the combat is able to be a little bit tighter, because we've got a bit more control over the ship speeds there. That combat is a lot more personal, a lot tighter, and we felt that it felt for a much more visceral and a lot more personal and experience with whoever you're fighting. And obviously that's translated to player versus player combat as well, which again, we've been testing internally quite a lot. And it's avoiding situations where you're able to essentially exploit the flight system to kind of constantly play chase and not really have a proper, one-on-one
No more
combat with someone,
backstrafing.
and constantly running away and not running away.
What am I
So
gonna
we felt that
do?
It was a positive change as we've been playing the game. So yeah,
I think
just figure out what the
from
next
my limited
exploit's gonna be.
experience with it,
Right.
It gets more exciting the more players that get involved. It's certainly fun 1v1, but when the furball starts, when we're testing some things that where more and more players are jumping in and stuff like this, and when I'm seeing the battles with like 15 people involved, 25 people involved, it keeps them all tight and compact.
Yep.
And literally the screen can be filled with ships.
Yeah.
This way, and it's a much more visceral experience.
It's a game changer. We've got such beautiful ships. We've got amazing VFX that when you're shooting at someone, you typically in the past haven't really been able to see, because you're hundreds of meters, if not kilometers, away from people.
Don't sell me on
It seems
that.
a
Sell me
real
on the
shame
gameplay,
to not
please.
be able to see some of that stuff. You're basically just interacting with the UI. So this bringing you closer together is just a much better feeling experience in our opinion.
So master mode.
Oh yeah, it looks really good.
323.
At the moment, yeah.
Mark it off.
And we want a lot of feedback, so and we will get it, I'm sure. But
Yes.
yeah.
Along with master modes, some other ship related.
Okay. So before he moves on there, just so I'm not misunderstanding, they're saying Master Modes is coming to the PU for all the ships in 323.
Yeah, so that part I wasn't clear on. Jared did talk about people working on converting them over. I don't know if that's. I mean, look, it depends on when did they start changing everything over to master modes. When did they start? Because we've got a few ships that have been available to us in Arena Commander using master modes, but it's definitely not been the full ship lineup or really close to it. I wonder how long they've had this cooking in the back. If for quite a while, and
I'm sure they've been working on it
maybe
for a while, but I mean,
I wonder how much individual work needs to be done for each ship too. Like, I'm
yeah,
sure
I didn't hear him. I don't think I heard him specifically say PU. But if you know, let me know in the comments, because I'm hoping it's for the PU. They haven't said Arena. I haven't heard Arena Commander tied in with the Master Mode, so I'm assuming it's all the ships are skipping Arena Commander and going straight to PU.
They made it sound like Master Mode is coming to 323.
Yeah, so that's what I'm hearing. So that's going to be a big change. I wasn't expecting Master Modes to come in that soon, honestly.
Yeah.
That's really. I wasn't expecting Master Modes until like 4.0 or later, honestly.
Oh wow. Okay, so you were thinking maybe possibly after Pyro?
Yeah, like I thought they were going to be testing this shit in Arena Commander for a while. I thought we would like gradually see like more and more ships with Master Mode tunings in Arena Commander until we almost had all of them, and then they'd be like, all right, we pretty much got it now. Here's the rest of them. And I thought that's how it would be, but just to be like, okay, here's like a handful in Arena Commander to kind of test it, and then now we're just rolling it out to everything. Like, I don't know. I mean, they've obviously been testing it, so hopefully it goes well.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's man.
It's a bunch of ships, but like I said, I mean, we don't know how much individual love each one needs to be, rebalanced or whatever for master modes.
Yeah. Man. I guess we got 3 or 4 weeks before we see an ISC on that, but that's crazy.
Stuff, precision targeting, precision targeting, and a big change to gimbals and weapon gimbals. What can you tell us about this?
So precision targeting at its very core is very similar to what you would do in a first-person shooter. You take time to aim, and it kind of almost helps you be more accurate. So what you can expect in the ships is a immediate zoom. So I know we've got a system where you can scroll in and zoom, and it's maybe a little bit awkward to try and use. This is a more toggle in, toggle out of zoom. So again, you're going to be closer anyway through master modes coming in. This is more a case of you're closer already, and now you're zooming in on your target. You can see much more of the ship. So if you're in a combat scenario where you're flying around and having to maneuver a lot and you're dealing with multiple targets, you might not necessarily want to use it too much. But if I'm in a situation where you're flying a Cutlass and I'm trying to take one of your engines off, I can toggle into precision targeting mode.
Sneeze on
and
it.
Go straight for your engines if I wanted to, just take out your engines, get on board and deal with you that way. So it's, again, leans more into that closer feeling experience. Also helps you with aiming at a target rather than trying to pixel hunt a little bit with your screen. And obviously makes it more accessible than having to scroll in and out with the mouse wheel. It's just one click to toggle in and out. And then with the gimbal change, the big change there is all ships are basically now going to have gimbals.
You want to talk about
the zoom? Yeah, I'm not. Mm-hmm. I know there's a default like combat zoom. It's not like super far, but I'm pretty sure it's on by default when you first play the game, and you'll be targeting something, and then when you go to like fire at it, your whole screen just kind of like gets closer. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's really disorienting. And I always immediately turn it off. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I like the idea of sub-targeting, like kind of like we can do now. You can choose to shoot engines or components or whatever. And yeah, that's cool. But like the zoom, like precision, like is your helmet like have like lenses in it that zooms you in? Like in one from like I don't like it just from like disorienting me from my space when I'm in the cockpit or whatever, but also like from like a lore like immersion look at it, like how do you explain that? Is it just like got some binoculars in your helmet or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I would assume it'd be like a visor thing or what have you. But yeah, this zoom that he's talking about though, it seems to be like a ship equivalent of, ADS in FPS though. So
Yeah,
like, I don't think you're going to be like forced into this zoom. It'll only be like when you're toggling it, right?
yeah, it sounds like you can like toggle it to a button, and then like on your joystick, you hold down one of your buttons and it'll zoom in while you're firing.
Yeah.
Which that's fine. Like I don't mind that. I just don't know if I'll personally use it very often.
Yeah, it needs to be I mean, for me to use it much, it's going to have to feel snappy, like an FPS ADS, where it's pretty much instant. I don't want like a slow, awkward zoom happening, or even a zoom like that one that's on by default that you were talking about that we currently have. It's going to have to feel good.
Yeah,
obviously,
if it's like that
used.
current zoom, I'm definitely not a fan. But if it's snappier and maybe a little less disorienting, maybe I'll use it. But yeah, I don't know. I'll just have to, like I said, have to see it in game first and actually get my hands on it before I really can have an opinion on it. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Just look right in that camera. Don't drop it. Look right in that camera right there. And say that again.
All ships are going to have gimbals, or all weapons are going to have gimbals. Weapon slots of ships are going to have gimbals. So that's not entirely true. I'm going to contradict myself already.
Yeah, there are a few
couple
exceptions.
of exceptions. You look at the Idris, it's got a massive railgun on it. It's not going to be rotating around everywhere. It's
the nose gun on the Vanguard.
Yeah, so there are a few that are going to be stuck as they are, but what we kind of had thought about for a while that we weren't too keen on is the swap down and swap out for the different weapons and exchanging the gimbal out for that, basically, because new players come in and it's not immediately understandable what's going on there, and we didn't really feel like it was adding as much value. Yeah. And just to touch on the turrets as well, turrets are now going to have gimbaled weapons too, which is really, really good, because obviously previously you were limited to the rotation speed of the turret. It gives you a little bit more look ahead and a little bit more of a unified, pleasant experience that you can expect from the ships that you can then expect from the turrets as well.
So I think we glossed over the gimbal change. And again, we have an entire ISC dedicated to this. So we're covering a lot of topics that you're then going to see deep dives of for the next 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks and whatnot. But with the gimbals, the size restriction is also going away with them. So
as in you're no longer trading
have to do
down.
One size,
Exactly
one down.
Yeah.
So some ships will get bigger weapons for this, and of course there are the exceptions. Basically, I'm not going to give you an exhaustive list of the exceptions, but if you look at a ship and there's clearly a very impossibly fixed weapon on it, think Inferno, think Vanguard with the nose, think Idris with the railgun, those will not be gimbaled. So they're not going through and remaking the ships to do that. So
cool.
there are a very small amount of exceptions. I think it's like 4 or 5.
Yeah, it will be an exception rather than a common thing.
But you can clearly look at the ship and go, I don't understand how that could be gimbaled. Congratulations, that's probably one of the ones that aren't being gimbaled. All right, and again, we will cover all that with Yogi and Rich Towler and their teams in just a few weeks. So stay tuned for more details and examples and all that good stuff. I don't know if I want to go to a big one or a small one. I'm trying to weave the story here because we got a lot more stuff coming. Let's go back to FPS stuff a little bit.
Okay.
Dynamic crosshair, scopes, reloading, FPS weapon stuff. Go. What you got?
Oh man, how long have we got?
Going back to your old stomping grounds here.
Yeah, I mean, so please stop me if I go too technical.
Okay.
Can we get an American in here to talk about this?
My jam. God, where do we start? So let's start with reloading. So the changes or improvements to reloading, as we've been calling it, have again come through the necessity of change through playing combat in Squadron a lot, very focused combat areas where we're able to really hammer out some of the basic combat mechanics, where we were in situations that were getting frustrating, and we were essentially playing the game. As most people probably know, engaged in the FPS combat, if you reload, we save your ammo pool to your magazine, and that goes back on your suit. And you might then end up in a situation where if you want to put more magazines on your suit is now completely full, and you can't put more on unless you swap them out. And it's a very sticky,
Tedious
process. Yeah, so essentially
Jared
we're trying
knows.
to remove steps there, rather than get rid of the realism that you have with basically having magazines that contain the ammunition. We want to keep that, and down the line we may still want to lean into doing the magazine stripping through a proper animated system. What we really wanted to lean in to at the moment is just an ability to be able to condense the amount of ammunition down that you've got. So that's what we call ammo repooling, and that is an interaction either on the weapon or in your inventory that lets you essentially go, this weapon, I would like to condense all of the magazines for that. Your character will play an animation while it's happening. It's quite a basic one. And then it will take a varying amount of time depending on how much ammunition you're shifting. So if I'm doing LMG mags, that will take longer than, say, if I'm doing pistol magazines that might have 10 bullets in or so.
So, and of course, again, we don't want to cover every aspect. We want to save some stuff for
Yes.
Torsten's team when he's on in a few weeks. This is a weird show. This is not a show that we've done before. We're essentially spoiling the entire season of Inside Star Citizen this quarter, if you haven't figured that out. So this is basically everything that you can expect to see on Thursdays for the next 9-10 weeks as we go. Dynamic Crosshair.
Okay, dynamic crosshair.
It was like
so,
2.5 months until
again,
323.
this came through necessity from playing combat.
Sounds better than
much.
4.
It was essentially a situation where you don't always have time to aim. Sometimes you want to just shoot your gun in a desperate situation, and it's really nice to have an indicator there of where it is you're going to shoot. So we came up with the dynamic crosshair. It essentially gives you an idea of what sort of spread you can expect from your weapon, and we essentially simulate spread through a spread cone on our guns, just because we don't want the gun shaking all over the place to kind of generate it. So we do add some spread on there, and essentially the more you fire, obviously it changes, the more unstable it is. The dynamic crosshair basically tells you where you're going to be shooting. Now, what we've done, and this kind of leans into some down the line armor gameplay that we're going to be leaning into, where we want to make the armor sets and things feel different and give them a unique purpose, is this dynamic crosshair is meant as a combat feature that you get on combat helmets. So if I'm, say an engineer or something like that, I don't necessarily need a dynamic crosshair for my gun because I'm not really going out and doing combat. You might get other benefits from wearing engineering gear.
Might be an engineer on a ship that gets boarded.
But this is something that we're obviously leaning into long term, and this is one of the first features that we're bringing out for combat suits.
And we'll save scopes and recoil and stuff for Torsten and their teams like this. I do want to clear something up. I can see the chat right now. And even if I couldn't see the chat, I'd know what was happening. He said 8 to 9 weeks, and somebody's doing math from February 2nd. Is it February 2nd? Yeah. February 2nd to try to figure out when Alpha 323 is. Don't do that to yourself. I'm just pulling numbers out of my how many episodes that I have planned ahead and stuff like that. That's not any indication of when the patch is going to come out. Don't do that. Just enjoy life. Be in the moment. Enjoy all of this that we're talking about, that we're shooting for Alpha 323, and don't spoil the experience for yourself by putting dates on things and trying to reverse information that doesn't exist. I don't know what voice that was. All right. It's possible I've been doing this too long, JJ. All right. You mentioned
I like
the
a Jared that's
combat
over
helmets
it.
So sorry. Let's talk about the visor and lens stuff. In ISC yesterday, players saw a little bit of the 3D mini map and the corner and some visor stuff. 323.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Let's
go.
So basically, visor and hood is going to be a big restyle. So I think the big task at the moment is restyling it for the persistent universe. Yeah,
If I had
just
an
a few
air horn,
features,
I would
essentially.
shoot it off
have,
right
like,
now.
The existing hint system that we've got in game, that's all being tidied away into the new notification system that we've got with high and low priority notifications, where we've got some really nice visuals for those. We've obviously got the newly reworked, I'm going to call it like the combat stack. That's what I quite like calling it.
Yeah.
No one else calls it that, but basically it shows you where all your ammo is, gives you all your feedback for your weapons, changing items, things like that. It shows you what's in your hands.
Let's make it a thing. Let's all agree to call it the combat stack for JJ, who's doing such a good job here today.
Then on the left-hand side, we've obviously got all the widgets for things like, you know, your health, the environment, all that sort of stuff. We've got the compass that's going in too, which is, yeah, we've got the compass.
Yes,
it's in the video.
a
You can
compass?
already see it.
Wait, an actual compass?
Well, this,
I can tell what direction I'm going.
yes.
No more. Which
No,
direction
no.
am I going? I can go. That's north.
Yeah. Well, not north in space, but you know, you got a bearing. Maybe
I'll take it.
North on a planet.
I'll take it.
Yeah, you have.
So I can have a compass in my ground vehicles now? Holy shit.
Imagine being
Holy
able to
shit.
One of the biggest ones is
tell
the
direction
minimap.
in the future.
And the minimap is amazing. It really is, and it links into what we're doing, which we can talk about in a little bit, with the star map on the Mobiglass 2, which is basically the area map. I'll make very clear now, we're not doing all locations.
Yes,
uh,
I was
with
just about
the-
to hit that.
with the minimap, because obviously there is a lot of space and areas to mark up.
Yes, yeah, I was going to say, let's talk about that. The minimap does not just exist in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Every single location in the persistent universe has to be marked up in order to feed that information into
Yep.
the minimap. I'll go ahead and say, because I talked to John Crew about this just yesterday, the ship team is working diligently to get as many of the ships as possible
Yep.
marked up
Yep.
for 323.
Same with
so that
landing
you can
zones.
at least explore your ships with the mini maps and stuff, and then maybe a couple locations here and there.
Yep.
And then that will just continue. Patch after patch after patch will just continue to mark up more and more locations
It'll
until
keep going.
eventually all of the PU reaches parity.
Yep. So it's going to be really easy to find your way around everywhere once it's done. So you can basically just get a view of where you are,
Once
where
it's
you want to
done.
go, set a route. You know.
Okay, so not everywhere is getting a mini map
In
in 323, but it's at least we're getting mini maps, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And a compass.
Should we lay it on them? I mean, we're right there. We're right there with the mini map.
I don't even know where you're going to go with this.
You don't know where we're going to go for the
Oh,
mini
yeah,
map?
no, okay, now you've said
Star
that.
map.
Should we lay it up?
Say it. Do it.
Sure.
Talk about Star Map.
Say it.
Star map.
Thank you.
Star map.
New star map. Yeah, so big quality of life improvement from where we're at right now.
One of
And
the biggest.
You know, we're changing it because it's
Sucks.
The current star map
It
is
sucks.
difficult to use. It's not clear. You know, you don't get enough feedback. Like some
It's
things are
broken.
You know,
It constantly
He said
breaks.
some things are broken.
yeah.
Go ahead, no, go ahead.
Except for that one guy on
But yeah,
Facebook.
we've spent a lot of time
Come on,
on
one guy.
styling it, making it very clear, making it very easy to use, done a lot of testing ourselves of just playing around with it. We've added some new features to it too. So essentially a estimated travel time if you set a route to somewhere, search functionality, which is all fairly basic to start with. We'll obviously come back more on that later, but or down the line. But essentially, you know, if I want to go to Hurston, I type in Hurston, it takes me to Hurston on the map. And I click set route, and then I go. Like it's
Imagine.
You know,
I don't understand. Why can
That's
it be
crazy.
so easy? I don't understand.
yeah, it's been a long time coming, and we're obviously very very excited about it.
I have so many traumas, though, JJ. What am I going to do with all my traumas?
You have to find new ones. That's what you have to do. Create more.
That's true.
Jared is all of us.
And then from the star map, let's just go way to the other end of technical stuff. With a little thing showcased by Sean Tracy and Andre at CitizenCon, the character customizer.
Yeah, the character customizer is super cool.
right, wake me up for the
along
next
with all
segment.
the new kinds of characters and all the new basically look people that you're going to be able to customize from. Yeah, you've got basically two ways of customizing a character now, which is very exciting. You've essentially got something that allows you to do a DNA blend, which is that's what we call it anyway. So you're basically taking your head on one side, which is what you currently have. There's basically a bank of heads on the other side that you can flick through and look, you know, I like these particular features. And what you can do is you can select one, go, I like this person's nose. I can then go on my slider 0 to 100% and go, you know, I want to go all the way to having their nose, and I want to go all the way to having mine, or I want to go somewhere in between. So it blends the two shapes together. And you can do that for the entire head. You can do it for ears, nose, eyes, brow, lips, all that sort of stuff. The second way of doing it, which is a very cool one, is I don't know what we ended up calling it, but essentially you are grabbing anchor points on the face. So let's say I grabbed my brow and I was looking at it from the side and I drag my mouse to the right-hand side and try to pull it out. What it does is it looks through our bank of heads that we've got in the back end and essentially tries to translate what is there to what you're doing with the mouse. So if I did it on my nose and pulled it that way, it would try and find a nose with a shape that's like that. So you're basically grabbing points on the face, moving the mouse around, and essentially seeing it go through all of these different iterations so it feels like you're sculpting, but you're not, if that makes sense. So you come out the other side being able to make some really, really unique characters, and we've had a lot of fun in tests trying to make, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Dave Bautista.
You always try.
That wasn't post, by the way.
A fantastic
Soundboard's ready to go, ladies and
get
gentlemen.
something that looks, pretty damn close. But on top of that, we've got new hair, facial hair, makeup.
Imagine
The
just
hair
an
is
org
very, very cool, by the
full
way.
of
The
Stone
hair
Cold
dyes,
Steve
so
Austin.
let's say, change my hair to white, I can change it to white, have it fade into blue.
Just everybody
It's like
takes their
how
helmet off and it's
quickly it
Stone
fades
Cold.
in, if it's like a sharp transition, if it's near the root or near the tip.
Can we get some watts in the comments?
A ton of really cool customization there, and obviously the UI has had a big overhaul as part of that too.
Not an Alien says, I hope we can make freaks.
Depends, yeah.
Just leave it.
Yeah, okay.
Just let him sit with that. Let everybody sit knowing that that's what he said.
You can make
Not an
Jared's
alien.
letting him cook.
unique characters.
Cargo. Cargo's getting its next big kind of push there. What can you tell us that's involved there? Freight elevators, obviously.
Yeah, we've got the freight elevators. We've got the basically the instance hangars. So you're going to be able to go to your own hangar. You're going to have your freight elevator. You're going to be able to spawn your ship. The core part of the experience is that you essentially go to your freight elevator. We'll have a kiosk with a nice new UI on it. You can then interact with that to essentially go, what's in my storage? So the regular inventory area storage is going away. So it's much more physically based in your hangar storage. It's very much more personal. You then go, I want all this stuff, click, 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 click. You fill up or see the freight elevator filling up on the UI. You then click a button and lo and behold, all your stuff's just come out the ground. And then it's up to you to load it into your ship. So as part of that, we'll also have things like
Okay, so they're getting rid of just the normal local inventory, right?
Right.
And they're moving it to where you have to go to a hangar with a kiosk and then choose what you want, and then it gives it to you.
Yes.
How's that gonna?
That's what that sounds like.
How's that gonna work for groups?
I feel like they've talked about it being shared with a party. At some point, I could be crazy, but I think.
So what, does everybody have to get their own hangar, go grab their stuff, and then bring it back to your hangar? If you're like, go back to the hangar that the ship you're taking is from, or does everybody get their own kiosk?
Yeah, that I don't know if everybody gets their own kiosk or not, but I thought parties could use the same hangars.
Yeah, it's just, even if they can use the same hangar, if there's a kiosk, you got to go stand in line to use the kiosk, and everybody pick their stuff, and one by one, the elevator comes up and brings everybody's stuff up, and then you got to load fucking your stuff on, and then Stubb stuff on, and then Roskva's stuff on, and then, like, how tedious is this going to be? Because right now you just step on a ship, drag and drop, and then it's there.
Right.
So hopefully they clarify a little bit in the ISC with freight elevators and stuff, but that's, yeah.
I'm sure they will, but I would not be surprised if it doesn't end up being kind of a tedious process.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I like the idea of the freight elevators and having your own instance hangar and being able to like pull up just the stuff you want, but that, it sounds like for multi-crew, it's just going to be a headache unless they they've somehow like added multiple kiosks to like, okay, everybody throws their shit in and then the elevator brings up everybody's stuff together. Or I don't know. We'll just have to see how they do it, but I hope it's not
might
super
touch on it
tedious.
some here.
Yeah, let's see.
Like hover trolleys, we've obviously got the tractor beam that's usable in there too, so you can then wheel it over, start loading up your ship, and it's a much more representative feel of what the cargo experience is going to be like long term.
It's a lot in 323.
Oh yeah.
We're not
Oh, yeah.
done. We're not done. There's a. I want to start wrapping this because I want to get to our next talking point here. We're not sharing everything that's in 323. There are still some things we want to keep secret.
Did you know that?
Obviously, I also don't want to spoil an entire season of ISC. We've already covered so much and stuff like this. But you can also expect things like the Blockade Runner mission. If you remember, we covered that on ISC sometime last year, maybe in Q3 sometime. The Blockade Runner experience that we talked about then, that's targeted for 323. A big update to Xenothreat that we're not going to share just yet. We're going to let players, that's one of those things that we're going to let players experience for yourself. Xenothreat and a sort of a pre-Xenothreat thing that's got a name, but I'm not going to share the name today. I want to see if people can suss it out. But Xenothreat's getting much, much bigger, much broader, and much more interesting, personally, from my perspective. That'll roll out. That'll start to roll out before 323, and then into 323, if all things go as planned.
Xenothreat's my favorite event they do, so looking forward to that.
The looting stuff, the looting stuff.
Oh, the looting's fantastic.
The new looting stuff that we saw at CitizenCon is going in. There's a new shopping app. We haven't showed that because the guys on Team Kian's team actually are working on it right now. We'll be showing that in ISC hopefully in about 5-6 weeks. When we go back to Team Kian for even more stuff that they're working on, they got a whole lot of stuff in 323 on that team. And then some economy stuff. I've been doing this a long time, and we haven't talked a whole lot about economy stuff, and it's rolling MMOs and stuff like that. So for the economy stuff, we're actually going to take a quick break, and we're going to bring in 2 members of our economy team who have never been on video before. We've never actually
economy team
put a showcase on the people who were down in the trenches doing the.
They have an economy team.
So we're going to throw it to a beautiful scene of Pyro 2. 4, I don't remember which one, while we shuffle some chairs around. And we'll be back to talk even more stuff coming in Alpha 323. So stay tuned.
All right, just gonna... They come back pretty quick, huh?
It's a nice view.
And we're back. Hi, everybody. We're talking about all the cool, awesome stuff. I was going to say a swear word, and I already used my one yesterday. Being targeted for Alpha 323. Joining us now are members of our UK economy team, Andre and Nick. Andre, Nick, how you doing?
Hello. Hello. Thank you for having us.
Anyway, so this is your first time on any kind of video stuff. Economy is not a topic we often talk about on our video stuff. It's not a particularly visual topic. So, but there's some big changes coming in 323, and then we'll continue on to 4.0 and stuff. So we wanted to start this conversation that will continue in the weeks leading in. Before we get into that, let's introduce yourselves. Let people know who you are and what you do. So Andre, you're closest, so we'll start with you. Hey. Who are you? What do you do?
I am Andre. I'm the lead economy designer.
You're the lead economy designer. What does the lead economy designer do?
Not much. But
well, he's figured the show out.
They were just hired last week.
That economy is not cool. I brought all my spreadsheets, so I'm going to prove you wrong.
You just live your life in spreadsheets.
Of course.
Yes. Okay. Nick.
Yeah, hi, I'm Nick, and I am one of the economy designers.
You looked at your notes for that, didn't you? I saw you. All you had to do was say your name and what you did.
Just to be sure. Just got to be certain. I've got based in Manchester studio here, but I figured that was unnecessary. So.
And of course, the economy team is not just you. You're just the 2 who were drafted to appear with us today. Who else is on your team?
There's actually 3 of us. We have Connor in the US. Hello, Connor. He's probably
Connor?
most certainly watching us right
Yeah.
now live.
Yeah.
You say one thing to Connor before we continue. What would it be?
What would it be?
Check your notes.
Oh yeah, we should check notes. It would be well done on other systems.
Oh, ominous. I like it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about economy, because I mean, everybody knows what the textbook definition, well, I shouldn't say everybody. Most people know what the textbook definition of the word is. As it applies to video games, I think it's easy to just assume it's the prices of things and that's it. But we know that it's more than that. So what is economy as it applies to a large-scale, open universe MMO like Star Citizen?
I completely agree with your statement. First of all, of course, it includes the prices, but at least for myself, it's a bit more than that. It includes telling a story, but instead of using nice pictures, instead of using words, we are telling a story with numbers. We want to make sure that everybody is immersed in the world. They are having fun. They progress. Everything that they are doing not only makes a difference for the world and for the other players, also makes a difference for themselves.
Would you agree with that, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely. I mean, especially with an MMO, it's all about an immersive dynamic. It's the feel that everything around you is connected and that your actions have purpose and you can progress and so can your friends.
It's interesting to me that you use the word immersive, because it is one of the, you know, I'm going on 10 years here. So one of the things that I've heard CR complain about periodically is the fact that you can buy a missile for like 500 AUEC. That's not the actual number, but it's some ridiculously low number. It's like you could never just go into a store and buy a missile for $500 or whatever. It's like, we got to get this economy stuff done. Is that what we're talking about here with 3.23 and 4.0 on? Are we starting the process of now going through and retuning all of these?
For sure, we are in the process of retuning that. We are not only giving our players and to ourselves, because all of us are fans of the game, but the chance to earn more money, to become rich and be rewarded in a fair way for the activity they do, but also the chance to spend that UEC on something that they can be proud of.
Mm-hmm. And so, before we get into the specifics of what's going to happen in 3.23, when we talk about the things that are economy, obviously the prices of a thing are the economy, but the travel times, how long it takes you to take something from this to this, is a factor of the economy, because that now determines whether the payout is, you know, whether a 10,000 credit payout is actually worth the 10,000 or not. How long it takes you to get your ship back from insurance is a factor of economy. What else am I not thinking of?
Those are very good examples. And going back to immersion, it's almost like level design. We want to find in the places that we go and explore the things that we would expect to find there, and their prices to be according to, for example, to the distance from where they are produced. The players to have access to the resources that they need and they want.
And Fuller 0079 says, he says UEC, not AUEC. Don't read into it, man. I promise. Just. Like, we're sitting here, we're giving you all this actual information, and then people are like digging for like hidden information between the words. It's just going to make you unhappy. It doesn't mean nothing. Enjoy the show.
Let's hear about economy
So
changes coming to
3.23. The first, let's say the next kind of major push towards, you know,
missiles cost
building
$50
this
more
economy,
dollars.
towards hardening this economy that's been, if you don't mind my saying, kind of all over the place for years and years and years. It's going to happen. What are we talking about?
So I'm saying, like, how long have these guys been working here?
Well, cohesive is a word that we are using a lot. Bringing all these systems that our wonderful colleagues already built, bringing them together so they make sense when they work together. So you've already seen some glimpses in Pyro, in the design of Pyro, in the design of the prices of the new, the new prices of armors that Nick worked very hard on them. We're working on the weapons, on FPS weapons, pre-balance, vehicles, ships. Eventually, we're going to do a pass on everything, basically.
So armors, weapons, probably the one that most people will notice right off the bat is ships and vehicles. So there's going to be a substantial change to the prices of ships and vehicles in 323. We're not going to ask you for specific numbers here because 323 is still many, many weeks away, and it would be a pointless exercise right now. But talk to me about the process. How are you determining what these new prices are going to be?
There's not a good way or a bad way to do it. We explore different ways. Talking specifically about vehicles, for example, manufacturers, it's something that we look into. We could take each individual vehicle or ship and disassemble it into its stats. How fast does it accelerate? How fast? What is its maximum speed and mass and everything? But because that is subject to change, we don't want to tweak those prices every time a small change is made. So for that reason, we take those factors that we know they are already decided on. For example, I mentioned already manufacturers. Some manufacturers put more care into their work. They use better materials. They use better technology. They use alien technology that is harder to get. That informs the price. Obviously, if a ship is larger, it's going to cost more.
Gotcha. And if it's Drake, it's obviously going to be cheaper.
I would not confirm or deny that.
Okay. So manufacturer is one tenet. What else is a factor?
The size of the ship and its focus. So the same way a tank is more expensive than a lorry, the same way we'd expect a combat ship to have better technology, better armor, better stats on average than a truck.
Okay. So it sounds like, if I'm understanding you correctly, in 323, there's going to be a massive change to the in-game cost. And I want to make sure that we're talking. This is a development thing. It's not a marketing thing before the friggin' Reddit threads start up. This is going through and working the in-game economy and realigning the ships based on manufacturer, role size. I did ask you if you could give us some examples. Now, these are not going to be final examples. Obviously, again, the changes won't happen for several weeks yet. But just to help us illustrate, to help us prepare for what kind of stuff we're talking about. Were you able to get some examples?
Yes.
Okay.
I watch your show, so I see that you have a Pisces there.
No, yeah.
So the rescue one, because we want to make it more affordable, and because myself, I see myself playing as a medic in the future. I made it a bit more affordable. So it's going to be in the range of $500,000 USC, alpha USC. And
so you're saying something like the Pisces might actually go down,
yes,
as far as the cost.
Yes. The Pisces Rescue is going to be a lot more affordable than it was. I can give you the example of my favorite ship. You can argue about that in the chat. It's the Arrow. I really like the Arrow. It's going to be in the range of about $2 million per USC. It's a combat ship. It's high performance ship. So obviously, somebody that can drive that ship worked very hard to get that ship, and they can be proud of owning that ship.
So those seem like kind of lower level, entry level
bringing
ships.
up pride.
Can we talk about something kind of mid range, like a Connie? Or
a Connie, it's a very good example because a lot of our players like that ship. I think it's in the range of 10 million now. Maybe going back into combat, something even larger. I really like the Hammerhead. Yeah, the Hammerhead. Is going to be about 45 to 50 million USC. It's a ship that it's a multi-crew ship, so I can see players pulling their resources together to buy such a ship.
Gotcha. And this is, you're using the words "it's going to be" and stuff like this. This is what we're working towards. This is what we're
pulling your resources together.
Of course,
org mechanics,
feedback and testing and stuff. The numbers may change and whatnot. Of course,
what are those?
323 is not the end all
What are org mechanics?
for anything. It's like obviously
never heard of them.
We get player feedback. We do the testing at full scale, and
it's only the first,
and then adjust and continue.
It's only the first pass the economy team is doing.
But this is all this is a conversation that's been waiting to happen for years and years. Like we've always. I don't think it's
Can we pause for a second?
Who's played Star Citizen that they, like I said, the con.
So I'm trying to get a clear understanding of how they're pricing these ships. It sounds like he said manufacturer, size, and role.
Yeah.
Are those the three factors? Was there anything else that he?
Materials, technology.
Technology.
Yeah. Stuff like that.
As opposed to pricing them based off of what I wonder. Like, it makes me wonder, like, how they decided to price ships currently in game, and I wonder. Okay, I guess fundamentally what I'm trying to get to is I wonder how specific of a pricing, let's say, rubric they have. Or if some of this is they're just kind of, considering some specific things, but then also just, oh no, I feel like 8 million for this ship. I feel like 10 million for that ship. Oh no, 20 million.
Yeah, it does seem like they're kind of like using a few things to get there, but then they're just like, this seemed like a good number, and then, yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, I would be really curious, like, the specific parameters they're using to price these ships out.
I mean, I'm glad they're talking about ship prices and the economy, and anybody who's watched our show before probably knows my feeling on the economy, that it's a joke at this point. And
yeah,
it doesn't matter what the price of the ships are if we don't know what the price of money we're making per hour. Are they making changes to commodities, trading cost, fuel cost, like contract payouts, multi-crew payouts? Like, are all these are just numbers that don't mean anything until we know how long it takes us to get there. Right. So, like, okay, they're increasing the Hammerhead by, I don't know what the cost is now, but let's just say 10 million. Yeah. But are they increasing the payouts by 2%, 5%, 10%? Are they decreasing payouts? Like, how much is RMC going to pay? Like, it's all like, they're paying attention to what ships should be priced based on their manufacturers. Great. I thought they were already doing that, but like, the whole, like, I don't know. I want some Tony Z, and I want him to, like, explain how the overall economy is going to work. Like, people finding resource nodes and selling them to orgs, and people mining stuff, and people base building, and like how it's all going to tie together. Like, none of these numbers mean anything until we know that.
Right. No, that makes sense. If nothing else, if the rate at which you can make money stays basically the same as it is right now, but coupled with, significant price hikes in some ships, it might incentivize some people to buy some pledges too.
Yeah. And
Jared,
Jared said it was nothing about like store pledges and marketing and all that, but
I don't know if that completely.
There are people out there that if it's going to take them, 50 more hours to get this ship than it would have last month, they might just swipe their credit card instead, and hey, I've got it. I don't have to spend that time grinding it out. So I don't know, man. I'm glad these guys are here, and I'm glad they're finally talking economy, but I feel like these guys were literally hired last week, and they're trying to make it seem like they've been working behind the scenes for forever now, and like, oh, we can't do this because of the economy. Oh, we can't raise prices of the contracts or the RMC or the whatever it is because of the economy. It'll screw the economy up. We can't change the refresh rates because of the economy. Like, there is no economy. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it, but the economy is going to mean a lot eventually, I feel like. So that's why I'm a little like heated about it, that it's just been like on the back burner and like it doesn't really matter, and now all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're doing this and that, and it's still just like, oh yeah, here's some increased ship prices or whatever. So like, I don't know. We need to hear some more talk about Quanta from Tony Z is all I'm getting at.
Well, on ISC in 5 weeks or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll maybe get a deep dive look, and what they end up calling deep dive looks oftentimes are not. But yeah, we'll see what they have to say.
Yeah. Economy 323. Let's go.
Economy has always just been kind of this, we'll get to it, we'll get to it, we'll get to it. We're here, we're getting to it now, for lack of a better term. So Alpha 323 is that next push, but it's not the last push. It'll continue to be balanced, continue to be evolved. I'm going to ask you for like okay. So we did a Pisces and an arrow. We did a constellation. Let's go to the far end and just see if we can get some of that sticker shock out of the way. What are you thinking for something like an 890,
For example.
For example?
You like the nicer things in life.
Oh well, or I'm just trying to work the sticker shock here. So Origin, fancy manufacturer, 890, super big on the size. What are you thinking? And I'm just gonna hold my alpaca here.
Let's make a list. Do you want gold on the walls? Do you like the marbles in the bathrooms? What do you need?
Give me the worst case scenario. What are we thinking? Worst case scenario.
No, we are talking about luxury. We are talking about Origin, a manufacturer that it's famous for putting so much care and so much quality in their ships, and I'm thinking in the range of 70 million USD.
Okay.
Somebody that has an jump, they can be proud of it.
It's all right.
I think that's almost double the price that it is now.
Yeah, it's about 35, 40 now. Yeah.
Guy.
Not yet.
Is that coming in 323?
No.
Oh.
We can balance the price on that.
But I've known JJ a long time. He's not going to dismiss the idea out of hand. Or maybe harvesting some organs.
Maybe we've got a
Sideline and 9
got a
tails.
multi-tool.
That's what the multi-tool is for. All right. So obviously,
You know, they're increasing the price of all these ships, and people are still losing ships and patches when they don't mean to wipe. If I grind out for weeks and weeks and weeks to get that 890, and then they do a patch and it's gone, I'd probably just not play for a while.
Yeah, I could see that being upsetting.
I personally haven't lost any ships in a few patches now, but I like a couple of times I've logged on and people have been like, oh, I'm missing my C2. Oh, I'm missing my reclaimer. Oh, I'm missing this. And like, they're supposed to have long-term persistence and people are still losing things.
Mm-hmm.
So they just need to think about that before they go crazy with all these numbers. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Just go on the website, do a character
these are the
reset.
prices that we're currently thinking. This is the work. This work is ongoing and will continue until Alpha 323 releases. Once it releases as part of Alpha 323, it will continue to be evaluated.
Yep.
It'll continue to solicit feedback, continue to look at analytics, all that good stuff, and make adjustments as necessary. Because that's what you do with a live service game. You make adjustments as necessary. Thank you so much for this. This was again, like I remember, coming to you, like, hey, we want to talk about economy. You were very eager. You since the first time I ever met you, you're like, I want to get on there and start chatting with people about economy. So I'm glad we got a chance.
I want that
Didn't really
feedback as
talk
soon as
economy
possible.
much.
That's the reason.
No, I didn't learn
That's
shit.
what we like to
They
hear,
talk ship
Andrew.
prices.
Guys, thank you so much for being on the show. Is there anything, JJ, anything more we want to say about 323? Let's go back through the list real quick before we're talking. So right now, targeted for Alpha 323, we're targeting new EVA, the new Pipis Pit, whatever we gotta get better at naming.
You know,
things.
it's even better. There's 2 pies, Jared. We're only dealing with 1.
New default item actions, reloading, dynamic crosshair, scopes, distribution centers, master modes, precision targeting, turret and gimbal changes, visor and lens stuff, new looting screens, a new looting system rather, a new shopping app, the star map, character customizer, a whole bunch of things cargo, including the freight elevators and some more, the blockade runner mission stuff we talked about, big changes to Xenothreat, and these economy changes, and that's just the stuff I'm willing to share with you right now. There's even more.
Mm-hmm.
Feel good?
I want to be Jared when I grow up.
There is a lot to do.
But we're in the
yeah, we're all excited.
We're all excited. It's building on the work that you guys have been doing for Squadron 42 for the last 2 years. The teams are working hard to convert it over. We've already got interviews in the can for ISC, for distribution centers and master modes and stuff like that. We're going to be talking to you about all that stuff like that. So lots of great stuff coming. I hope you're as excited. Let me change the way I want to say it. I've been doing, like I said, I've been doing this I'm going on 10 years now. You've seen me here, you've seen me in LA, you've seen me in a variety of situations talking to you about this, that, or the other thing. You've seen me cautious, you've seen me with trepidation, you've seen me hedge my bets left and right. The last time I went full-throated into something, I ended up with a beard that was like this, and it wasn't good. I hope you can take from my own personal enthusiasm. I see the work that these guys are doing each and every day. I've been seeing the work they've been doing for the last 2 years and just waiting for the time where this gets brought back over to the PU. We're here. This is going to be one heck of a year when the Squadron team comes back with the Star Citizen team, and it's nothing but blue skies. I'm not going to say that. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm getting caught up in my own hype.
Let's make some magic happen.
It's going to be a magical year. Let's just say that. I'm not going to say nothing blue skies. I was going to get hit by a meteor when I walk out the door. About that. Lastly, before this week's show, I did want to take a few minutes to talk, if I can, as myself, not as a CIG representative, but just as Jared Huckabee, the dude that works in the game industry. 2023 was a huge year for the release of video games. And if you followed any ounce of gaming news, you've probably know that it was one of the hardest years for those who create the video games. That struggle to stay employed has extended into the first month of 2024, as I think the last count was nearly 5,000 people have been laid off in the video game industry in the first 30 days alone. I spend my time dedicated to highlighting the people who make video games possible. And as one of those people who are lucky enough to still get to do what I love, I wanted to take a moment at the end of the show, just as me, to show my appreciation and my gratitude to all those people who are dedicated to creating the universes for our entertainment, both here at CIG and at every game studio that's ever made a game I've played. To those who've made the games that I still haven't played, the backlog is real. And just my overall gratitude for everybody who contributes to this industry. You're appreciated, and we're all thinking about you always. So hope you guys land on your feet. We're going to keep on trucking. We're going to keep on making the biggest and baddest space MMO we can. And yeah, thanks for humoring me for the last 3 minutes. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk. It's just me, but I thought I'd take the chance. I needed to say something. So thanks a lot. Hope you enjoyed Star Citizen Live. Hope you're as hyped about Alpha 323 as I am. Join us next week on Inside Star Citizen when we shake things up and we explore the work of a team you'd probably never expect us to. It's not a 323 thing. It's one of those little cool detours that we take sometimes. Their work is really cool, and I hope you'll appreciate it as much as I do. And then we'll be back right here for another Star Citizen Live next week. And I have no idea who's on that show yet. I gotta wander through the hallways like the Grim Video Reaper. Like, you're next on my show. So take care. Thanks a lot. That's Andre. That's Nick. That's JJ. I'm Jared. See you later. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Jared.
See you guys.
Thanks, Jared.
All right. So what did you think about All About Alpha 3.23 Star Citizen Live?
That's a lot of stuff coming. That's a lot of stuff.
It is a lot of, yeah.
I mean, between freight elevators, the distribution centers, master modes, the new star map, new interaction, it's gonna change a lot.
Yeah, I think this is going to be probably the most significant update since 3.0.
Yeah, I mean, 3.18 had some good stuff in it, with PES and stuff, but yeah, it's a big update. It's gonna start feeling like Star Citizen 2.0.
Yeah.
New interactions, new EVA, new star map, mini maps, all kinds of stuff.
Character customizer.
New FPS changes, scopes, which we spend a lot of our time doing FPS stuff, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, those will be welcome changes. As far as the show itself this week, it's cool hearing all the bullet points of features that are going to be making their way into 323. But I don't know, there were parts of it, like definitely the economy section where everything seemed super vague, but I was feeling a decent amount of that with just about every topic that they hit on. Like they would get a little specific about some things, but for the most part, I don't know. It felt like the core information that they really wanted to share with people. I mean, it's a bullet point.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna.
It's a bullet point.
They're definitely holding some stuff back, so they have like stuff to show for ISC and.
But they say that stuff, and sometimes there will be something on ISC where it's like, holy crap. But most of the time,
yeah,
it's
like
not that much of a deep dive.
Like last week with EVA and the interaction system, like that's mostly stuff we already knew about. We saw that stuff at CitizenCon. We've seen multiple videos on it. They've been talking about it for a year plus now. And it's cool to see, but we have seen it before. I don't know. I'm interested on the deep dives in especially the freight elevators and the economy. Which I have a feeling for the economy, they're just going to be like, "Hey, we increased ship prices. We did economy. Here you go." Yeah. And it's just going to be the same thing as always. And I don't think they need to change, and they might be changing everything, but I don't think they need to change ship prices until they change everything. Refresh rates, prices of commodities, prices of fuel, prices of insurance.
Economic revamp all in one patch.
Yeah. And they could be touching everything. We don't know. They only really talked about ships. But
yeah, no, Jared even took the time to be like, and now let's remember that when we talk about the economy, we're not just talking about ship prices, but we're also talking about, the logistic the logistic parts of that as well. Like, how long does it take to travel somewhere, or whatever. It's more than just a sticker price. It's the missions that people are doing. It's going out mining and gathering resources. It's then transporting that stuff. It's literally, I mean,
contract payouts,
everything that you do in the game is somehow or another tied into the economy.
Yeah.
All of it. So to only focus on ship prices like they did was such a bummer. I don't want to harp on it too much. We're going to do a podcast this week, and I'll get more on my soapbox there. But this Star Citizen Live felt like I'm not super hyped. For this one.
A lot of people were hyping this episode up, and while it did give us a good bullet point of like everything that's going to be in 323, everything except master modes I kind of expected to be in there already. just from, you know, the discourse over CitizenCon and the holidays and everything where, oh, punch my mic, sorry. Where they said like everything is going to be changed, but I don't know. All we can do is speculate and wait.
Yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of stuff coming this week. Another ISC, another Star Citizen Live. There's a PU monthly report. The roadmap roundup is happening, so maybe we'll get some more 323 specifics this week. And like I said, I don't feel like this Star Citizen Live was like a total waste of time or anything, but a bit disappointing. A bit.
Yeah, it was, like I said, mostly stuff we already knew, and it mainly just left me wanting to know more about these bullet points.
Yeah.
So,
but if we know anything, so you can go follow us on Twitter and Instagram at CommLink Pod. While you're over there on the Twitter page, we're doing a Cutter Rambler giveaway with LTI. The pin posted at the top of our at CommLink Pod Twitter has all of the details there. We also know that apparently if you spend 50 million AUEC on a ship, you can be proud of it. So there's that too.
all right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you've made it this far, that's our react for Star Citizen Live of this week. I'm looking forward to 323 and all the features. Like and subscribe if you liked our video, and tune in later this week on our podcast. We'll probably be talking about some more of the stuff more in depth, and yeah, hope to see you.
Yeah, and let me know if in the comments too if you share my frustration with the way they present some of these videos and streams. Like, we're going to answer questions, we're going to talk all these different topics and features, and we're really going to get into to detail here, and then it's just so vague. Like, am I losing my mind over here? Like, I'm approaching 10 years on this, following this project. It'll be 10 years this month. And man, it's like every time I get excited for something, it lasts for a good while, and it's great. And then they go quiet. And then when they start to talk about stuff again, you start to get a little hyped up, but then you just start to notice, like, you're not really telling me anything specific here. You're just saying, hey, we're working on these things. And then you punt it off to, we're going to share more later. And then just, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Check out the referral codes in the video description if you're looking to sign up for a new Star Citizen account.
Yeah, there's some good referrals going on for the month of February with Cormor and the Red Festival going on, armor sets, all kinds of cool stuff with referrals. So yeah, use one of those.
All right. Be safe. Stay well, everybody. See you in the next one.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.